guys, I'm Elizabeth Newsom and welcome to my booktube channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Emberhawk by Jamie Foley. I wanted to make sure I said it right.
Doing a great job, Liz.
Thank you, Mom. So I recently read this book as part of my Christmas break. As you can see, I'm back at New Mexico right now for the Christmas break. So Jamie sent me this book to endorse, and I've definitely reviewed some of her books on this channel before. She's like one of my favorite people ever. So I'm probably subconsciously biased, but at the same time, I really liked this book. I told her that it was my favorite book that she's ever written thus far. Just the romance was really sweet and cute and tender, and I liked the world building and how she ties it to a series she's previously written. So in the story, we have this girl named Kira, who's this farm girl, and she's part of this one country. She's part of a specific people called the Navarro, I believe, who are part of this one country who is, they kind of have tense relationships with another country, and they're not quite at war, but it looks like war is on the horizon. So this follows her story, and then there's a guy named Ryon. It's R-Y-O-N. So how they meet is their chickens have been disappearing, and so Kira's on the rooftop looking to see what's happening, and she sees this kind of like outline of something that's turned invisible, and they have these things called trace cats in the area. And trace cats are these huge predators that can turn invisible. So she thinks it's that, but then she shoots and the person flickers into existence, and she realizes that it's a person. And so this person is actually not really an enemy spy. As you find out later, he's sort of an enemy cartographer. He scouts out areas and he maps them. So she runs after him, and they're running, and then he like almost grabs her and kills her, but he doesn't, and then he's shot in the shoulder and he's in a lot of pain, and then he blacks out. So then he wakes up, they're in a barn, he's tied down because obviously he's an enemy, but they're also healing him too. Except then there's this group of soldiers that comes who's part of their country, and they want to interrogate and torture this guy. So they start doing that, but then it turns out that this one guy, who's also Kira's brother, is actually not loyal to whatever country Navarro's in. So he frees that guy, but in the process of him being freed, the barn burns down, so then Kira's really upset, and her brother was actually knocked unconscious in the barn because he had the guy, Ryon, knock him unconscious so that it looked like he escaped, and the barn was on fire, so he could have died, and Kira's really mad, so she goes after him on an impulse, and then she finds him, and she realizes that she's not gonna kill him or anything because he's much more skilled than her. There's this really good sentence about it. It says, he possessed more strength and skill than he appeared, yet he wielded it like a flippant remark. I kind of like how she said that. And also when describing trace cats, I'm gonna pull that up. That's another thing I loved about this, aside from the world building and plot and romance, was the prose. Like when I'm writing, I'll be looking at an ordinary sentence like he frowned or she sighed, and I'm like, I know that there's a new way to describe how the character is feeling, like a new original way that doesn't sound super cliche, but I just can't think of any right now. And this author really excels at that, just like taking descriptions and making them new and original and refreshing. So, describing the trace cat, it says, it shimmered in and out of existence like a firefly at dusk, with streaks radiating across its pale fur like a tiger that had lost its stripes. That's pretty cool. It gives you a really neat visual of what a trace cat looks like. So he scares her really badly, and he's like, he's like, I'm gonna kill you, makes some sort of threat. She tries to run away, then she trips, and she sprains her ankle really badly. And of course he's this elemental person called a Phoran, P-H-O-E-R-A-N, I think. And so they have different types of powers and abilities, like turning invisible, fire powers. Because their blood is special, the predators in the forest could sense that and they stay away. But Kira, of course, would be vulnerable. So then they end up staying together, but then something happens. So the kind of magic in their blood that gives them these elemental powers is called Sin, S-Y-N. And Ryon, his sin is drained, which is which would require more explanation, but it is, and then they have to face some predators, and it just, lots of things happen from there. But I don't know, the plot was really cohesive in that all the events were surprising twists to the storyline, and you couldn't really predict what was happening next, but at the same time, it didn't really seem random. Like, I read some stories where it's like, oh, this thing happened, and then this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, and it's like, wow, I don't know. I just have trouble following the plot line because it's just so many random events kind of strung together. But again, this plot was very cohesive. And the author did a really good job of just gradually building up the tension, especially the romantic tension between the two characters. So obviously there's some sparks and chemistry between them. And I loved reading about how they would interact with each other and how they kind of liked each other, or how Ryon would feel really protective or jealous about her. So books with great romances always get like lots and lots of bonus points in my book. Yeah, in the world building, I've already talked about some of those elements with the whole elemental thing, and then they go to these different cities, and I'm not going to take time to describe them all, but again, they're all just really unique, and it's obvious the author has thought about how even from city to city in the same country, how they would be different. I want to go back to talking about her prose, because there were so many things in the book that I just like go along highlighting because I liked how it sounded. Like one thing, it says, Kira's voice shriveled in her throat. Not just like she stuttered or she couldn't find the right words, but I just like that. He swayed as agony branched out like lightning inside his bones. It's a really good description. Sometimes it's hard to describe pain in novels. Like, it's hard to describe it without using the word pain, obviously. And the thing when you feel pain is that it's really hard to describe, you know? It's an intense feeling of discomfort and pain, again.
What's wrong with using the word pain?
Nothing's wrong with it. It just gets like repetitive when you're trying to describe how someone like they get tortured and injured and they're trying to deal with this injury or escape or something.
Is it cliche?
Yes, it is cliche. Nervousness jittered in her joints. Like not just she was kind of like shaky or she was quivering a bit. It's just how she phrases things. Or at first he thought the darkness was hindering his eyesight, but now his head sloshed like an angry sea. So this is when the character had been drugged. That's just, again, it's so vivid. Or one time she says that the few bites of dinner smeared like ash on her tongue. Again, descriptions were really vivid, especially about the character's internal sensations and emotions. It's really important for the readers to feel acutely how the character feels and to be able to relate to them. So describe how you feel internally. Like obviously, I feel like really hot when I'm angry, or when I'm really sad, I feel this kind of like heaviness or tearing sensation in my chest. So describing those internal sensations are important to me, especially where emotion is concerned, and the author did a really good job with that. Okay, to summarize my thoughts of the book, I'll just read you the endorsement that I'm giving Jamie. Foley weaves an enthralling story about love in a world on the brink of war. Though I suppose I should warn you that her captivating world-building, vivid prose, and compelling plot are certain to lead to sleepless nights and antisocial tendencies. Yeah, because I totally stayed up late reading this book. It was very good. Like I said, just the tension between the two main characters and everything that's happening. It was very engaging. Well, there you guys have my review of Emberhawk by Jamie Foley. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe, because I post one bookish or college life related video a week. It just depends on what's happening. And you probably noticed that my hair is up in these kind of like two weird ponytails this time. I don't know, my hair is growing out now and it's getting to this sort of awkward looking length, and I can semi-pull it back. This is the most I can. So I'm just enjoying pulling back whatever hair I can. I can't wait to put it in a ponytail. That'll be the day. Anyway, tangent. And as always, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know what you think of this book and if you have any young adult fantasy recommendations, because you can never have too many of those, even if I have a TBR list that's several miles long. It's always good to have a few good books that you know you could go to if you ever happen to have the time. So, let me know. It's okay. I'll cut this part out. You're good.
You should do bloopers.
Bloopers?
That would be funny.
Sometimes I do. I might make this a bloop. Like sometimes I do bloopers in the middle of the video. So I might just do that. Now finally, to conclude the video, let me know down below and I'll see you next time. Bye!